A man went to the hospital to have both testicles removed, only to find the wrong ones were taken and the cancer had still spread. Instead of getting angry, he clutched his late wife's charm and burst out laughing, feeling a childless death would comfort her soul. But when he opened his eyes again, he saw the dusty wedding character on the window of his old hometown. He hurriedly searched the house and found Lin Shui curled up on the bed, her fair skin now covered in bruises and welts. Seeing the woman who had haunted his dreams for a lifetime, he became agitated and rushed forward to grab her. As you held her, your guilt and longing were stifled as you began to cry. You had schemed her fall into the reservoir, forcing her to marry you after you rescued her. But Lin Shui never had a good day in your home. Driven by your abuse, she and her child jumped into the reservoir to end their lives. Only when your brother-in-law recovered their bodies did you come to your senses. After that, though you seized the era's opportunities, you earned enough wealth to last 10 lifetimes. But the woman who taught you to grow at the cost of her own life was already gone. Just as you were immersed in the joy of being reborn, a piercing cry suddenly rang out. "Don't touch me." At this moment, seeing Lin Shui trembling all over, you finally remember what happened. Lin Shui had borrowed money from her family to buy rice cereal for the child, but you snatched it away to buy alcohol instead. Worse yet, after coming home drunk, you treated her roughly in bed. Thinking of this, you raised your hand and slapped yourself hard across the face more than 10 times, and soon blood was trickling from the corner of your mouth. Lin Shui quietly watched your actions, unable to hold back a mocking smile. She had already lost count of how many times this had happened. After all, every time you sobered up, you would kneel and beg for forgiveness. But within a couple of days, your fists and feet would fall on her again. She could endure the humiliation of your abuse in bed, but she couldn't bear to see the child go hungry, nor the sound of the baby's weak cries. A glimmer of life appeared in Shui's beautiful phoenix eyes. She hurriedly threw on some clothes and picked up her daughter, but because Lin Shui had been malnourished for so long, she couldn't produce any milk, and the little one started wailing again. The baby's cries woke you up as well. You immediately got out of bed, picked up your clothes from the floor, and said, "Wife, just wait, I'll go get something for our girl to eat." With that, you strode off toward the small shop at the entrance of the village. Old Huang, the shopkeeper, saw you, and baring his big yellow teeth, asked, "What kind of liquor do you want this time?"
Uncle Huang, can I get a bag of rice cereal on credit? I'll pay you back tomorrow.
Old Huang heard you asking for credit again. He glanced at the red swollen slap mark on your face but didn't say a word. He just took a bag of rice cereal from the shelf for you. Grateful, you hurried off and rushed home. When you entered the house and saw your wife still in the same state as when you left, you couldn't help but feel another pang of pain in your heart.
Your wife? Honey, I bought the rice cereal.
Hearing your words, Lin Shui immediately became alert, her pale little face full of fear.
"I'm warning you. Don't you dare sell my daughter, or I curse the Zhao family to be cut off from descendants forever." Seeing this,
At this scene, you freeze in place, vaguely remembering that something like this did happen. Originally, you wanted to sell your daughter to a couple in town to get money for alcohol. What kind of bastard things have you done? No wonder you died of testicular cancer in your previous life. You really deserved it. So, you put the rice cereal in your hand on the shabby
Little bed, I swear I will never bury news. Tomorrow I'll go to town to find work. After saying this, you turn around.
You turned and walked out, went outside, and slapped yourself hard across the face several times. If you remember correctly, it was this month that Lin Shui jumped into the reservoir with her daughter in her arms. Just thinking about this makes you tremble all over. Seeing that it's already late and your family has run out of food, 20 minutes later, you arrive at the foot of the mountain behind your house. You randomly pull the elastic band from your underwear to make a slingshot. Snap! You shoot a stone and a turtle dove flaps its wings and flies up. In your previous life, after you became successful, you fell in love with shooting as a sport. You had also played with slingshots for a while, squatting in the grass for half a day. In the end, you managed to catch a pheasant with a net and used the slingshot to shoot a few turtle doves. The turtle doves were small, 4 of them together weighed barely a pound, but that pheasant was a plump 5 pounds. You tied these things up with a vine, hung them on a tree branch, and were about to carry them home when you suddenly realized that something behind you had disappeared. You broke out in a cold sweat. Was this a ghost encounter? Suddenly you saw a flash of light from the safety amulet hanging on your chest. This was something your wife from your previous life always wore close to her body. It was neither jade nor plastic. She only took it off and threw it by the reservoir after she jumped into the river to end her life. As you looked closely, the light from the amulet disappeared again, and you couldn't help but reach out to touch it. The next second, you entered a space that, in terms of area, wasn't even as big as your hospital room. After experimenting several times, you realized that holding the amulet allowed you to enter, and if you thought about leaving, you could exit. With this golden finger, you could make a comeback in this life. On your way home, you noticed that many households already had electricity, while your own family was still using kerosene lamps. Even though the hardest years of natural disasters had passed, you still sometimes didn't know where your next meal would come from. You carried your things straight into the kitchen, and after night had fully fallen, you brought a big bowl of turtle dove soup into the main room. "Ching Ching, come eat. I made turtle dove soup to help you with your milk." You called out 3 times. Only then did Lin Shui slowly come out from the inner room, catching sight of the big bowl of turtle dove soup on the table. She didn't rush to come closer, just stood where she was, her eyes full of hatred. At this moment, looking at your wife dressed in patched clothes, you felt another wave of bitterness in your heart. In this era of material scarcity, Lin Shui's beauty stood out even more, but you were just a fan who managed to win her over and then failed to cherish her. Now, seeing her so guarded, you longed to sit down and share a meal with her, but you also understood that as long as you were here, she definitely wouldn't touch her chopsticks. "I'll eat in the kitchen." You walked out, leaving Lin Shui staring at the turtle dove soup, feeling dazed. Was this a dream or her last meal? Before, whenever there was food, you ate your fill while she only got the scraps. Though starving, she didn't dare eat. Only when she saw you outside drinking soup with a wild pheasant hanging nearby did she finally believe it. Guessing that you must have gone up the mountain to hunt, Lin Qingshui finally turned back to the main room and picked up the bowl to eat. After finishing the meal, under your wife's wary gaze, you also took on the task of washing the dishes. You used to be a lazy man, so this might be the first time you were seriously doing housework in this home. After finishing up, thinking about what you had done during the day, you went to boil a pot of hot water and brought it into the room. Ching Ching, use this water to wipe yourself off, you said, putting down the basin before turning and leaving in a hurry. Sitting at the doorway for a long time, you finally heard the faint sound of water from inside the room. Meanwhile, you looked up at the starry sky, pondering how you needed to find a way to make money tomorrow and improve the family's situation as soon as possible. It was already autumn, and in winter, the temperature would drop below -2. The temperature was freezing. Your wife and child needed new cotton clothes to survive the winter. Only after the water stopped did you walk into the room. Lin Qingshui recoiled in fear. Don't come any closer. You silently cursed yourself for your past brutality. Knowing her wounds would take time to heal, you gently reminded your wife.
I'm just here to take the water out, you said.
You picked up the water from the floor and walked out. Lin Qingshui ignored you, and as soon as you left the room, she quickly got dressed. In the yard, you used the hot water your wife had just used to quickly wash yourself off. After all, in order to catch those few doves, you had been lying in the grass for quite a while. After washing up, you sat down on the doorstep. Thinking back to your past life, there was a period when a few outsiders always wanted to go into the mountains to gather things. Afraid of getting lost, they found you, who had nothing to do, to guide them. Back then, you just thought these city folks were bored and had nothing better to do. After seeing how they operated so many times, you learned how to dig up those wild stone mushrooms. Now, you could totally go dig them up and sell them yourself. With that thought, you instantly perked up, tied together a torch, prepared some not-so-professional tools, and then called into the house. Ching Ching! You said, close the door, I'm heading out for a bit, but you didn't return home until 4 in the morning. On your way down the mountain, you found some fruit and dug several blind baby civets from a den. Back home, you quickly prepped them, kept one behind the kitchen, and carried the rest to town in baskets. You found a busy spot and set up shop. Someone remarked, young man, these mountain goods look good. You originally thought if they didn't sell, you'd just take them back to make a hearty stew for your eldest brother, second brother, and third sister. But unexpectedly, as soon as you set up your things, someone immediately asked the price. An old man and lady saw your reasonable rates and bought 2 civets. Since meat required coupons then, wild game was a rare treat for their grandson. As they left, the lady nudged her husband, wanting the skins to make gloves for their grandson. In under 2 hours, everything sold out. Then, you took yesterday's big mushrooms to the old shop in town. At the counter, the clerk stared in amazement as you produced the goods. He examined the big mushroom and held out a hand. Young man, this is the price. Seeing his offer, you frowned, feeling cheated. You reached to take it back, but the old man quickly pressed your hand down. We can negotiate, he said, stroking his goatee. 6 big bills is my best. Though broken, the mushroom was worth far more. But needing money urgently, what could you do? Your wife and child were still at home, hungry. After thinking it over for a moment, you decided to sell the goods. Then you went to buy meat and noodles. And only after visiting 2 supply and marketing cooperatives did you manage to get your hands on the rare commodity of milk powder for that era. Before heading home, you remembered the patched up old clothes your wife wore yesterday. So you walked into the town's only small state-owned department store. On your way back, you took a detour to visit a 70-year-old hunter. You gave him a pile of food in exchange for his precious hunting rifle. In those days, you needed ration tickets to buy meat. If you wanted the freedom to eat meat, you had to make it happen yourself. You still had to do things yourself. Almost home, you saw Lin Qingshui working in the fields with a child on her back, and your eldest brother, Zhao Zhenqing, immediately flew into a rage when he saw you coming over. Where the hell did you run off to again, making your wife work in the fields by herself?
Till.
Seeing your brother, your throat tightened.
I went to town to work, and I picked up some meat and noodles on the way back. Tonight, bring sister-in-law and the kids over to our place for dinner.
At these words, your big brother looked you up and down suspiciously, glanced at the mud on your pant legs, then looked at the basket you were carrying, which was packed full. Your sister-in-law
just made a pot of cornmeal steamed buns at noon. In a bit, have your wife take a few home. We won't come over for dinner. Just treat your wife well, alright? So you didn't say anything more.
You nodded, then carried your things home. If you wanted to make your wife happy, you had to start by satisfying her stomach, so you got busy in the kitchen. As dusk was falling, Lin Qingshui came home with a few cornmeal steamed buns in her pocket. But as soon as she stepped into the yard, she caught the aroma of meat coming from the kitchen. She hurried to the kitchen door and saw you standing at the simple stove, busy cooking. After a long day of work, Lin Qingshui was already so hungry her stomach was practically touching her back. After putting away the cornmeal buns, she went into the bedroom and placed the sleeping child on the small bed. But when she turned her head and saw a can of formula on the table, a rush of blood went to Lin Qingshui's head. She ran into the kitchen and slapped you across the face. Did you go and force my mum to give you money again? How can you be so? Caught off guard by your wife suddenly bringing up this matter, you slowly remembered that you had indeed threatened your mother-in-law with a knife for money before. You hurriedly denied it.
I didn't. All the money I have today, I earned myself.
As you hurriedly reached your hand toward your crotch, seeing this, Lin Qingshui became even angrier. At a time like this, that's what you're thinking about. She immediately stepped forward and slapped you hard again. After taking 2 slaps in a row, you were left both laughing and crying. Seeing that Lin Qingshui had no intention of stopping, you quickly pulled out the 5 bills you had hidden in your crotch.
Wife, this is the money I earned today. Take it, Lin.
When Lin Qingshui saw those bills being forcibly stuffed into her hand, she felt the world spinning around her. Seeing that your wife was about to fall, you reached out to help, but Lin Qingshui harshly slapped your hand away. She simply couldn't believe that someone as idle as you could earn so much money in just one day. What kind of shady things had you been doing out there? How could life go on like this? Seeing that Lin Qingshui didn't believe a word you said, you almost knelt down to her.
Last night, I went up the mountain and stumbled upon Wildstone Lake. Then I happened to come across a civet cat nest. I traded those things for 6 big bills. I spent 1 on food, and now this is all that's left.
When she heard about the dendrobium, Lin Qingshui's eyes finally showed some life. In the north, there's ginseng. In the south, there's dendrobium. That stuff is highly valuable for its medicinal properties and can fetch a good price. But it only grows deep in the mountains and is very hard to find, especially in the dead of night. But thinking carefully, there really were bloodstains by the well this morning, and there was civet cat meat stewing in the pot. Could it be that I really blamed him wrongly? But how does he even know about dendrobium? Under Lin Qingshui's gaze, you raised your right hand and swore an oath.
I really didn't do anything bad. If I did, may I never have children or grandchildren.
Seeing that his wife's breathing had steadied and her gaze wasn't so fierce anymore, he finally breathed a sigh of relief.
Qingjue, hurry up and put the money away. I'm going to bring some meat to my eldest brother's house so they can have a taste too, even though safe or hidden, giving the money to his wife is right for the jiaos. You brought the meat and fish soup to the main room, then took a bowl of meat to your brothers. On the way, you repaid old Huang Tu for the porridge and wine. Meanwhile, Lin Qingshui took the cash and hurried to her room. She had been married here over 2 years. Usually you took money from him, but this was the first time you gave him money. He divided it into 5 portions and hid them. Then, he heard steady footsteps outside. Walking out, he saw the steaming food on the table. Momentarily dazed, he checked the kitchen. The flour jar was half full, the oil topped up, and a slab of pork belly hung from the beam. Had he really changed? Lin Qingshui wasn't sure. After all, a dog can't change its... Seeing Lin Qingshui sit down, you picked up a pheasant drumstick and placed it in her bowl. Tomorrow morning, I'll head up the mountain. While winter hasn't arrived yet, I need to quickly harvest all the places where I can dig up dendrobium. After all, this is currently the fastest way to make money. Once the country fully reopens, I can use the money to invest in other things.
Lin Qingshui paused, then nodded silently. Last night's dendrobium find was pure luck. It wouldn't happen again. She initially wanted to suggest finding a job for steady income, even just a few cents daily. But considering your personality, if you stayed sober and didn't gamble, she'd let you be. She picked up her chopsticks to return the pheasant drumstick to you, but you quickly used the child as an excuse to stop her.
Wife, you're too thin. Eat a bit more, otherwise the baby won't have enough milk to drink. No matter how good formula is, it can't compare to breast milk. Besides, formula is expensive and hard to get. This is Crucian Carp Tofu Soup. Drink it, it'll help with your milk supply.
These words made Lin Qingshui glare at you. She gripped her chopsticks tightly, but didn't refuse. Today, after a long, exhausting day, the family's livelihood was finally secured. After eating, you said, "Wife, I'm going to sleep," then went inside and fell asleep instantly. After washing the dishes, Lin Qingshui found your clothes on the floor. She frowned, picked them up, and washed them by moonlight. Finished, she tiredly returned to the bedroom but accidentally kicked a basket. Looking inside, she found a new set of women's clothes and 3 sets of baby clothes. So she stared at your sleeping face for quite a while, unable to figure you out. You slept so deeply that night, it was as if the world had turned upside down. Even though your daughter woke up twice during the night, she still couldn't wake you. It wasn't until early morning that you finally opened your eyes in a daze. Turning over, you saw Lin Qingshui curled up with her back to you. At that moment, she was only wearing a worn-out little vest, which made you practically drool. After all, in your previous life, after Lin Qingshui died, you never sought out another woman, so you reached out and pulled her into your arms. Everything felt like a dream, so unreal. Just as you were about to lower your head and kiss her, the woman in your arms suddenly stiffened, clearly resisting your touch. So you forced down the bitterness in your heart and got out of bed. For now, you could only put up with this situation. You took the clean clothes from the clothesline. Even though they weren't dry, you hurriedly put them on. Then, tiptoeing, you took the things out of the basket and placed them on the table. At this moment, Lin Qingshui sat up in bed, her face cold as she said to you, "If you really want to change, then find some work. As long as you're willing to put in the effort, you can earn a dozen or so yuan a month, and our family can get by." Hearing your wife speak first, you felt a surge of joy, knowing Lin Qingshui cared. But with this second life, you must secure capital before liberalization. Previously, after losing her and your daughter, you wandered before a benefactor helped you become a state-run store manager, connecting you with elites. Now, you'll earn your first pot of gold quickly. Hunting and gathering dendrobium is the fastest way, especially with your future memories. Knowing exactly where to find dendrobium is such a great opportunity. How could you possibly let it slip by? The only problem is you don't know how to explain to your wife why you insist on going up the mountain to gather dendrobium. Seeing that you remain silent for a long time, Lin Qingshui realizes your stubborn streak has flared up again. She simply pulls up the quilt and lies back down. There are still some cornmeal buns left for you in the pot on the kitchen stove. Hearing what she said, you can't help but smile, your face unable to hide your joy. You walk over to the bed, give Lin Qingshui a kiss on the cheek and say, "Wife, I already talked to our eldest brother yesterday. You don't need to go help them out today." Since there was some pork left in the kitchen, you decided to take half of it over to your mother-in-law. When Lin Qingshui saw you approaching, she thought she had upset you and was about to hit herself again. But to her surprise, you suddenly kissed her. She didn't even catch what you said, nor did she notice that before you left, you also kissed your daughter. By the time she came to her senses, you were already gone. In the dim room, only she and her daughter, who was sleeping in the small bed, were left. Although it was still early, she tossed and turned and just couldn't fall back asleep. She lay in bed until the sun was high, when she heard someone knocking at the door from outside. "Second sister-in-law, what brings you here so early?" Liu Guihua's eyes darted around the kitchen, and she grinned broadly. "Fourth sister-in-law, I heard from eldest sister-in-law that your family had meat last night. Did your husband win big gambling or something?" As she spoke, she didn't wait for a reply. Her feet seemed to have eyes of their own as she headed straight for the kitchen door. "Goodness, did your husband steal or rob someone? How much would such a big piece of meat cost? Their family hasn't seen any meat for almost half a year. Even when the kids were fussing for days, they couldn't bear to buy any. It's not easy to take your eyes off something like that." But then she caught sight of half a wild pheasant hanging on the pitch-black wall, and she immediately lost her composure. You really need to keep an eye on your husband's gambling, fourth sister-in-law. Who knows, he might even... Lin Qingshui's face darkened bit by bit as she listened. Second sister-in-law, what are you saying? If he broke the law, the police would naturally arrest him. You don't need to worry about that for me. Liu Guihua wanted to say more, but her eyes rolled as if she'd thought of something, and she swallowed her words. Don't get upset, second sister-in-law. I'm just worried about our fourth brother. My husband and he are real brothers after all. My Xiaobao has been crying for meat, craving it so much. Could you lend me 5 jin of meat first? I'll have your second brother bring you the money later. After more than 2 years of living together, Lin Qingshui knew her sister-in-law's true nature. Once something entered that house, it never came back. Now she wanted 5 jin of meat. Lin Qingshui wouldn't agree to this even if she had the authority. Ask fourth brother when he returns, she said, bolting the kitchen door. Liu Guihua was displeased. Fine, I'll wait. Tell him to bring the meat over later, she said, and left. Liu Guihua's smile faded. On the mountain, it was nearly noon. Using past life memories, you eventually found the memory pearl and dendrobium. Using yesterday's experience, you exposed the roots of this much larger plant. By dusk, you finished digging it out. As you headed home, you stumbled upon a cicadea, eyeing the dendrobium. Seeing this, you grabbed your traded hunting rifle from storage. The gunshot echoed, startling birds into flight. At home, Lin Qingshui finished cooking. Feeding the baby, she frowned at your absence. Finding dendrobium is hard, she thought. You should learn a proper skill. As she mused, you entered the courtyard. Lin Qingshui heard you unpacking your basket and came out carrying the baby. Wash up and eat, she said, then headed back inside. You saw your wife glance at the basket, but she stayed silent. Seeing the hot food inside, you felt a surge of emotion, wishing you could scold your past self for not valuing such a virtuous wife. You sat down and ate heartily. Wife, I'll visit the chief soon to get our house wired for electricity. Lin Qingshui paused while patting the child and spoke up. We'll have to pay a monthly bill if we do. She then glanced at you, fearing your reaction. Noticing her expression, you put down your chopsticks and brought the basket inside. Wife, I dug these up today. I'll sell these at the town pharmacy soon. Lin Qingshui stared at the dendrobium. She looked up, asking in disbelief, did you really dig these up yourself? You explained, I didn't steal these. I spent all day in the mountains. Seeing your honesty, she finally nodded, half convinced. Earlier, our second sister-in-law visited to borrow 5 jin of pork. Lin Qingshui looked visibly upset because you weren't home. You told her seriously, you're in charge of the house now. Manage the money and everything. If you don't want to lend something, we won't. Lin Qingshui hesitated, then timidly said, I don't want to see her. She never returns what she borrows. It's happened before. Hearing that, you smiled and tapped her nose. We won't lend it if you don't want to. Lin Qingshui was stunned, then took your daughter inside. After eating, you washed up, grabbed some meat, and headed out. Chief Wang Xuanzhu was surprised to see you, but grinned at the meat. Hua Zhengguo, why borrow a book so late? He asked, taking the meat. I want to set up an electric light at home. If you have time, help me arrange it for tomorrow, and I'll take care of this matter for you. Hearing this, you didn't say much more, stood up to thank him, and turned to leave. But when you walked into the kitchen, you unexpectedly saw Lin Qingshui in the pitch-dark kitchen, gnawing on the meat bones you had left behind. The sight stabbed at your eyes painfully, and it felt as if all the blood in your body had frozen. Your voice came out hoarse as you said, What are you doing? Lin Qingshui, hearing your voice, was so startled that she shuddered, and the bone at her mouth fell to the ground. She looked at you in the courtyard with a face full of fear. Don't hit me. These are just the leftovers you didn't want. I thought it'd be a shame to throw them away. But then, you felt a sudden crushing defeat. You fell to your knees, and Lin Qingshui screamed in fright. What are you doing? She looked down at you, and feeling a warm wetness on her chest, realized she was crying. Her long-closed heart softened slightly. Seeing your wife so terrified over leftovers felt like a knife to your heart. You stood, cupped her face, and kissed away the tears at the corners of her eyes. Honey, go wait in the main room. When the food is ready, I'll bring it in for you. You're my greatest benefactor. Lin Qingshui didn't quite understand what he meant, and blushing as if she'd seen a ghost, she slipped out of the kitchen. In the kitchen, you busied yourself for a while, and soon a plate of fragrant stir-fried pork slices was ready. The coarse grain-steamed buns that you thought were just for filling the stomach, your wife treasured so much that she couldn't bear to eat even a bite. Just as you walked into the inner room, a vision of snowy white beauty caught your eye. In an instant, blood rushed to your abdomen. You strode forward, and from behind, pulled her into your arms. Wife, don't ever leave me again. Lost in pleasure, Lin Qingshui, for the first time, realized that doing this kind of thing could be so comfortable and enjoyable. This was also the first time since their wedding night that the two of them had slept so closely entwined. Thinking of what happened last night, Lin Qingshui's cheeks felt hot, and she turned her face away. But when she saw the child on the small bed, Lin Qingshui's face instantly turned pale with fright. Last night, it seems she hadn't heard their daughter cry at all. Noticing his wife's sudden change in expression, and her eyes fixed intently on their daughter, he quickly got out of bed and hurried over to the little bed, only to see that their daughter was already awake. She was staring with her big eyes and smiling. At that moment, just looking at their daughter made your heart melt. You carefully picked her up and held her in your arms. Returning to the bedside and seeing that your daughter was fine and still grinning, Lin Qingshui finally felt the weight in her heart lift, and her tense nerves relaxed. Her eyes immediately reddened, and she almost burst into tears, blaming herself for how she could have slept so soundly last night. The child was so little. If anything had happened, how could she go on living? Wife, you stay here and lie down with Niu for a while. I'll go make you breakfast, you said, picking up the underwear that had been tossed on the floor and slipping it on. Lin Qingshui meanwhile checked the diaper under her daughter's bottom, though it wasn't wrapped very neatly. But it was a clean one that had been changed. No wonder she hadn't heard her daughter crying last night. It turned out, you had gotten up to take care of her. This was the first time since giving birth that she had taken the initiative to care for the baby herself. So had she really changed? Could she trust her again? Meanwhile, you were skillfully busy in the kitchen. By the time your wife came out holding the baby, the meal was ready. Tofu with greens, cornmeal porridge, and multigrain steamed buns. Bare-chested, you took the baby from Lin Qingshui's arms. Wife, go wash up first. Lin Qingshui was a bit uneasy, but seeing you clumsily holding such a tiny baby, she couldn't help but burst out laughing. That's your own daughter, not a tiger, she teased. Is she going to bite? While you ate, Chief Wang Xuanju and the electrician arrived. Entering the yard, they saw Lin Qingshui eating breakfast. You were bare-chested, pacing the yard with the baby. The chief noticed bite marks on your arm and smiled knowingly. Zhengguo, you haven't even finished your meal. You hadn't expected them so early. They began pulling wires at the gate. Once Lin Qingshui went inside, you handed the baby to your wife and reached into your pocket. You pulled out some Da Jianmen cigarettes. The chief looked at them, grinning. You've done well for yourself. These are 40 cents a pack. The electrician smiled, tucked one behind his ear, and moved the ladder. It was a good deal. He usually couldn't afford these. This family was generous. Once the power was on, you went inside. Suddenly, a piece of clothing flew at you. Lin Qingshui called out, hurry up and put your clothes on. What do you look like walking around bare-chested? At this moment, there were a few scratch marks on your back. Those were left by Lin Qingshui last night. The village chief and the electrician both saw them, but neither said a word. Yet you had no idea. Wandering around shirtless, which made Lin Qingshui so embarrassed, she wished she could find a hole to crawl into. With outsiders present, she was too shy to remind you. It wasn't until you went up the mountain that Lin Qingshui, covering her burning cheeks, took quite a while to calm down before she continued to take apart the bedding for washing. She moved the child's crib into the yard and put the child on it. She filled a basin with water, getting ready to wash the bedding. At this moment, Lin's mother arrived carrying a basket, which held some eggs and a small piece of meat. When Lin Qingshui saw her mother, she quickly wiped her hands and stood up. Mom, what brings you here? Lin's mother carried the basket into the kitchen, her eyes scanning her daughter up and down. Seeing her daughter's worn and ill-fitting clothes, her eyes grew misty, and she quickly looked away. Picking up her granddaughter from the crib, she said, we just finished things at home, so I came to check on you. As she spoke, her eyes swept over the 3 shabby mud and thatch houses. In her heart, she regretted agreeing to this marriage. She had ruined her daughter's life. Qingshui, I've thought it over. If you can't go on with him, just get a divorce. You still have your whole life ahead. You can't let it be ruined by someone as useless as him. When Lin Qingshui heard her mother, she was stunned, then sat in silence for a long time. That day, when he took her family's borrowed money, meant for rice cereal, and spent it on alcohol instead, she felt hopeless about their future. She even contemplated suicide, wanting to take her daughter and jump into the reservoir. But once sober, you regretfully slapped yourself over a dozen times. Then, you rushed out to buy rice cereal. Lately, you've changed. No more drinking, gambling, or messing around. Seeing her daughter sitting there silently, Lin's mother thought she was worried and said, I can help raise the child if you take her. She added, but staying home with a child makes remarrying hard, as divorce is still rare. No matter how hard or bitter life gets, a woman still has to grit her teeth and keep going. Hearing her own mother even consider the possibility of her remarrying after a divorce, Lin Qingshui took the child from 7th aunt's arms and said, I'm not thinking about divorce right now. She really does seem to be changing for the better. As she spoke, she tugged at the brand new little outfit on the child. She earned the money to buy this for the child, and she even bought me a set. But I couldn't bear to wear it. Lin's mother looked at her daughter, noticing a rosy flush on her fair, youthful face that she hadn't seen in a long time, and her eyes seemed to shine with light again. She couldn't help but be momentarily stunned. After all, just yesterday she had overheard second Ma from next door say that her daughter owed someone 50 yuan, a huge debt. With no honest job, how could he pay it back? Worried, she came early to check on her daughter, but her daughter's expression seemed genuine. If he's truly changed, she'd sell everything to help pay his debt. She kept the overheard secret to avoid more conflict. Relieved, she nodded through tears. If he's changed, I can finally rest easy. Just then, you came down from the mountain, bun in mouth. He estimated the cost of building a 2-story house. Based on the price of his dendrobium, he'd still have a significant fortune for the time, as 10,000 yuan households were rare. Since he'd stay in the village for years, he decided to improve his living conditions. The family lived in 3 crumbling adobe rooms, where his height made it impossible to stand straight. Inside, dust and debris fell everywhere. It wasn't fit for living. Dimi had no idea about any of this. Your mother-in-law is discussing a divorce with your wife. If you knew, you wouldn't be up the mountain digging dendrobium. In this second life, making money matters, but nothing beats your wife and child. With your past life knowledge, you aren't rushing for gains. Near noon, Lin's mother hurried home without eating, fearing her daughter would have less. Lin Qingshui couldn't stop her, so she grabbed and cut a large piece of hanging meat and chased after her, calling, Mom! Take this for your family. Seeing the meat, Lin's mother refused. She feared you would hit her daughter for helping them, or that her daughter wouldn't have enough to eat. Keep it. We don't need this. You're too thin, and need the nourishment for the baby's milk. Lin's mother left without the meat. Lin Qingshui stood at the door, watching her mother until she disappeared. She took the meat back to the kitchen. Next door, Zhang Guilan, married in 2 years before her, gnawed a radish over the wall. Sister, you never go out. Everyone says your brother dealt with his wife last night. Several families heard her crying. Lin Qingshui sat in the courtyard, responding half-heartedly. Seeing this, Zhang Guilan pulled up a stool by her wash basin. Lowering her voice, she whispered, "Everyone's saying your second brother's eldest child isn't actually his." Lin Qingshui stopped and looked up at Zhang Guilan. "They say it's your eldest brother's child." Zhang Guilan stuffed a radish into her pocket and leaned in to whisper the rest. Lin Qingshui was completely stunned. She used to respect her eldest brother, thinking he was honest and had the demeanor of a true elder. But after hearing this, she felt a bit uneasy inside. How could this happen? Satisfied, Zhang Guilan patted the young wife from the city. "I must go cook for my husband now, so I won't chat anymore." That night, you returned home very late. Seeing the lights, you sighed. Electric lights are much brighter than kerosene lamps. Lin Qingshui brought out the warm dishes and white buns she'd kept in the pot and asked, "Why are you back so late today?" Noticing that you had some dirt on you, she put down the food and started brushing the mud off your clothes. You quickly stopped her, turned around to bolt the main room's door, then rummaged through the pile of straw in the basket and carefully placed something on the table. On your way back from digging for dendrobium, you had an unexpected find. You didn't tell your wife that you'd only come across it because you slipped and fell, and that it took quite a bit of effort to climb back up, which was why you were so late. The thing you brought back is now worth no less than dendrobium. It's sold by the gram, so you'd unexpectedly made a small fortune. You plan to spend a good, intimate evening with your wife tonight and not go up the mountain tomorrow, but instead take care of selling what you had on hand first. Lin Qingshui looked at the blackish-brown, ginger-shaped object you placed on the table. She seemed to recall seeing it in a book and asked uncertainly, "Is this Polygonum multiflorum, Hei Shou Wu?" Her tone was full of disbelief. You hadn't expected your wife to be so knowledgeable. Most people in the village still don't realize how valuable this thing is. Otherwise, all the treasures on the mountain would have been collected long ago. Dendrobium and Hei Shou Wu will probably remain precious for another 10 years or so. Later on, as cultivation techniques improve, all of these can be artificially grown and will become common on the market, so they won't be rare anymore. But even then, the price of wild rare medicinal herbs will still be ridiculously high, because you simply can't buy wild ones. Grinning broadly, you pull your charming wife into your arms, lower your head, and plant a kiss on her fair cheek. And meeting her bright, sparkling eyes, you say, "That's right, it's Hei Shou Wu. Tomorrow, I'll take you and the child to the city for a stroll, and we'll sell these treasures to the pharmacy while we're at it." As soon as she hears you're taking the child out, Lin Qingshui's body suddenly tenses up. She remembers how she once said she'd sell her daughter to that childless family in the city, and she still feels uneasy about it. Who knows if they really can't have children, or if they just want to buy a child bride. She pulls herself out of your embrace. Warily, she refuses. "The child is young, so we won't go. Just wash up for dinner." Something is clearly off. You wanted to buy her winter clothes, but she's on guard, fearing for your daughter. Given your past, her worry remains. Trust is gone. You must be patient. You remove your shirt, open the door, and step outside to wash your face. You sit down after returning to the room and finally notice the food on the table. A plate of golden scrambled eggs and a small plate of leftover stir-fried pork from breakfast. Did he really not have any dishes for lunch? If he keeps scrimping and saving like this, when will he ever get chubby and healthy? Looks like I need to earn more money soon, so he can feel more secure. "Honey, where did these eggs come from?" Lin Qingshui lowers her head and serves you a bowl of flour soup. "Not long after you left, my mum came by. She brought them. Your mother-in-law didn't mention a word about the divorce your own mother brought up. Hearing that your mother-in-law brought the eggs, you recalled the time you asked her for money to buy alcohol. Feeling embarrassed and restless, you couldn't face him, nor did you ask your mother-in-law why she had come. In your heart, you were already planning that, once Brother Ming sold his goods, you would first pay back the money you had borrowed from your mother-in-law. You reach out and pull your wife over, telling her to sit down and eat quickly, handing her a mixed-grain steamed bun. Your wife still couldn't bear to steam a pure white flour bun, so she made mixed-grain buns with half-white flour. You pick up a cornmeal bun yourself and start eating it heartily. Lin Qingshui takes a small bite of the mixed-grain bun, then looks up and secretly glances at the man in front of her. If only she could always be like this, she thinks, but she doesn't know how long this warmth in her heart will last. The two of you were eating when someone knocked on the door outside and called out, "Fourth brother, it's me, Liu Zi. Come out, we're one short for cards, three waiting for one. The guys are waiting for you to drink and play cards." When Lin Qingshui heard this voice, her face instantly turned pale, and she stared at you, afraid you would go out drinking and gambling with them like before. You froze for a moment when you heard the voice, then remembered who it was. You put down your chopsticks, looked up, and saw your wife's ashen face. You quickly got up and pulled her into your arms. "Wife, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Your tone was full of worry and anxiety. Lin Qingshui, held in your arms, clutched your undershirt tightly with her slender, fair fingers, her lips trembling slightly. "You're going to drink and play cards with them again." Hearing this, you finally understood why your wife was acting this way. She was afraid you'd fall back into your old habits. Resting your chin on the soft top of her head, your arms unconsciously tightened, holding her even closer. The body in your embrace felt terribly thin. Ever since she married you, she hadn't had a single good day. Even a full meal had become a luxury. Yet even so, she still held on to hope for you, wanting to live a steady life together. You took a deep breath, forcing back the sting in your eyes, and used a low, hoarse voice to comfort her. "Don't worry, I'm not going. I'll send them away right now, and I won't mess around with them anymore." Lin Qingshui, sitting sideways in your arms, looked at you with a scrutinizing gaze after hearing what you said, staring straight at you and demanding, "Are you really not going?" You lowered your eyes to meet your wife's anxious and searching gaze, wishing you could take out your heart and show it to her, to tell her you really had turned over a new leaf. Unable to resist, you pecked her perky nose, your breath warm and clean, and promised, "I really won't go. Trust me. I'll go send them away right now." Then, gently placing your wife back onto the bench, you say, "All right, you keep eating, I'll be right back." As you straighten up, you notice that your little tank top is still tightly clutched in her hand. If it weren't for knowing that those 3 guys outside aren't good people, you'd really want to take her with you, let her watch as you turn them down, so she could finally feel at ease. You lower your head and plant another kiss on the top of her head as a gesture of comfort, your big warm hand gently patting her thin back. Only then does she slowly let go. You straighten your back and stride out with confident, vigorous steps. When you reach the courtyard gate and open the wooden door, the guys waiting outside see you come out. That guy called Erluzi grins lewdly and cracks a dirty joke, saying, "Fourth brother, that's not cool. Your wife just finished her confinement, and you've already worn her out in bed. It's been days, and you haven't come out to drink with us." Hearing his crude words, your sharp brows furrow with strength as you shout in a deep voice, "Damn it, watch your mouth when you talk to me. If you can't speak properly, then shut that filthy mouth of yours." The other 2, who had been laughing along, notice your expression and fall silent. They immediately wipe the smiles off their faces and try to smooth things over, saying, "Fourth brother, he just has a foul mouth, don't take it to heart. Come on, let's go have a drink together." As he speaks, he reaches out to put his arm around your shoulder, but you brush his arm aside. You glance at the others and say, "If it's about drinking or gambling, don't come looking for me, I've quit." The 3 of them look at each other, totally stunned, yet Erluzi still has a sleazy grin on his face and keeps teasing you. "Fourth brother, is it that your little sister-in-law has you so tied up in bed you can't get up? Now that she's out of confinement, why don't you let your brothers have a try too?" Before he could finish his sentence, you kicked him square in the chest, sending him sprawling on the ground, limbs flailing, groaning in pain. You stride over, plant your foot between his legs, bend down, your dark brows glinting coldly, as you stare straight at the guy on the ground. "If you dare spout crap like that again, I'll sew both your mouths shut and break your 3rd leg," you say. You press down even harder with your foot, grinding it into Erluzi. Lying on the ground, he ignores the pain in his chest and desperately pushes at your foot that's planted between his legs, wailing at the top of his lungs, "Fourth brother, I was wrong. I won't talk nonsense ever again.